Yo, what it is, what it be, what it do, YouTube. Sam the man here to save the day. Hey, yeah. And if you're new, you know what to do. Please like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff for me. And yeah, man, we're back. So, this is the first talking video that I'm doing in a little minute. I've been, doing the reactions, bro. I haven't been streaming lately with the holidays and everything like that, but still posting, some of them old, VODs or whatever for the last couple weeks, and now coming back, to do the talking videos and stuff like that, bro. Because this is the last video of 2025, the last Sunday of 2025 until we get into 2026, and I really just wanted to get on here and just really recap my whole year, bro, because so much has happened. I'm sitting here and, I started this channel January 1st. I uploaded my first song, Jump Ball, and there was like a New Year's song, whatever the case may be. Because 2024, going into 2025, after leaving college, after leaving Philly and moving to Orlando and stuff like that, bro, I really made the decision to just, follow my heart and follow the things that I've always wanted to do and take the first step in starting all of this. And here we are at the end of the year, and so much has happened that I got to take it all the way back to the beginning. And that first upload, there was 0 subscribers on this channel, but I remember uploading that first video and being like, damn, wow, this is real, because I've always wanted to do YouTube. I've always wanted to do music. I've always, had a creative side to myself that I feel like, I never got to, fully embody. And so that was like the first step for me. And now the last talking video I remember making, we hit 50 subscribers. Now we're over 100 plus. And starting from that point, I was at 0. At the end of the year, I have 100 subscribers, and once again, it's not a lot, but it's a foundation. It's a start, especially going into 2026, and everything is going to get turned up a notch. Because I'm not big on resolutions. I feel like every day you got to strive to get better in some area, do something better, improve somewhere. So I feel like a resolution, when you pick one goal and then you don't hit it, or you hit it, then it's like it kind of ruins the rest of the year. You don't really have something to look forward to. So it's not that I really made a resolution going into this year, but I knew within my heart, I said I wanted to prove to myself that I can do these things. And I haven't made a dollar yet off of any of this, whether it be the music, the YouTube, the streams, the clothing brand I just started, everything like that. I haven't made a dollar off of it yet, but I told myself I wanted to prove to myself that I can do all these things. And I'm sitting here in January, January. See, my head's already in 2026, but I'm sitting here at the end of the year, already knowing that I've proven it to myself tenfold. I look around, at this room, the setup, everything, the equipment, the stuff that I did, and once again, I'm not, starting anything crazy. Like, I'm not, a big, creator, what I'm saying? I started my TikTok, I started my Kick, I started everything. Everything is like around like 100, followers, 100 subscribers. My Instagram didn't really gain that many, followers, whatever the case may be, but it's not really about that, because all the growth from this year has been internal. And I guess, that's the biggest lesson that I learned this whole year, is to, one, focus on yourself, protect your energy, and just have 100% confidence in what you believe and what you want to do. And you'll be surprised where it takes you, bro, and have the faith to take the steps, because that's another thing, bro. And so, just seeing the growth within myself, and me looking back at the person I was in January 1st versus now, it's like completely night and day, two different people, bro. Because yesterday I was leaving work and I passed by the basketball court in my neighborhood. And in January, I guess around that time, I made my first vlog, and I uploaded it on the channel, the 101 vlog, if you want to go check that out. But there was a part in there where I played my song that I made, and was hooping on the basketball court and stuff like that. So I drive by the court again yesterday, and something was just like, I wasn't having the best day. I was fed up at work, and I was on the way home, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna just get out. I have my ball in the trunk, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna just shoot around for a little bit. And as soon as I started, all those memories from beginning of the year just started coming back, where I remember setting up the camera for that vlog, and I remember redoing certain parts and certain scenes and stuff like that, certain parts of the video that I enjoyed, and just shooting around. And I was just thinking, like, damn, like, I'm so many levels above that kid that filmed that video January 1st with no subscriber. And now we're at 100 plus, and keeping the ball rolling, going towards 2026. And it's just moments like that where I normally keep to myself, but now we got to document on videos and stuff like that. It's like the personal growth is insane. And I was really just locked in on myself, bro, whether it be in boxing. I picked up boxing this year. You feel me? I was in the gym consistently. You know, when I had time to, I was recording music. You know, I still have to put a project together that I want to put together, but I have so many songs, it's ridiculous, bro. I, you know, sit there and I open up my phone and I'm like, damn, I did all this. You know, whether it be the TikTok, thousands of views on TikTok, which once again might not be a lot, but I started that TikTok, in August or whatever the case may be. And once I started the TikTok, once I started the streams, bro, I streamed for 70 days in a row, you know, starting October 1st, and I went 70 days in a row. And, you know, that's another thing that I did on Kick. And so, you know, after that, the clothing brand came, and I put so much effort into these designs. You see back here is our first drop. You know, I got it on right now, Silent Enigma Official on Instagram if you want to go check it out. But, you know, it's so much more to come with that. I started drawing up designs on my iPad. Just all of the things that I knew that I was capable of came to fruition this year, bro. So this was definitely the best year of my life. I've grown so much personally. I've grown so much physically, spiritually, mentally. You know, I'm about to hit my weight goal as well. So literally every single goal that I set, you know, in the beginning of this year, I hit, and I proved that to myself 100-fold over. And so now I'm here, you know, in the same position, getting ready to go into 2026. And in my head, I'm already in 2026, and that's how I'm operating, bro, because I want the success that bad. But, you know, it's bigger things to come next year. You know, once again, I don't want to really set, you know, a resolution or whatever thing like that, but I just know after what I experienced this year, you know, to keep doing the same things, to keep reading books, to keep leveling up my mindset, keep listening to podcasts, you know, stay in the gym, you know, and, you know, everything is going to fix itself, you feel me? Because that's another thing too, is that I've been doing this for, you know, started this year, you know, like I said, the stream and everything came like, you know, August. So I really 4 months that I've really been, you know, really doing all this, which is crazy. Even though I started the channel in January, it's really 4 months when I've been really going hard and pushing really hard at everything, and everything is, you know, coming through fruition. And, you know, so it just got me excited that we got, you know, another 12 months next year, 365 days, 365 chances, you know, to get right next year. So that's what I'm excited for. You know, I got big plans, especially with my clothing brand. You know, I feel like that's what been taking up, you know, a lot of my time since, you know, Black Friday. You know, I was trying to get the site set up and everything like that, do that type of stuff that kind of, you know, took me away from the streaming. And, you know, like I said, I was still able to upload YouTube videos with the, you know, the VODs that I had and stuff like that. But now I feel like starting 2026, we're starting fresh. You know, everyone's hitting me up like, where's the streams, you know, and it just be life, bro, because especially, you know, the area I work in, you know, holidays, it gets busy, stuff like that. So I was really just working to the bone, didn't really have the energy to get on here and do stuff. And that's the other thing too, where it's like, you know, part of my goal is to grind so hard at this that it replaces my 9-to-5, bro, because that's another major thing that, you know, I realize every time I clock in, and I like the people at work, and I enjoy my job, whatever the case may be. But, you know, you see this economy that we live in, it's not going to get it done, it's not going to cut it. And, you know, I want more out of life, I want more, you know, for myself. And so just, you know, staying down for the come up really is what it is. But I really want to put my whole, you know, life, you know, essence into this, because this is what I feel like I'm meant to be doing. And, you know, now, like I said, I proved this to myself. I know this was, you know, what I was meant to be doing. And, you know, I felt like growing up, you know, I was always, you know, a good student, going to college, everything like that. And my parents, you know, are doctors, that this, that, and the third, this is the future that I'm supposed to live. I'm supposed to do that. And, you know, I always grew up, you know, deep into sports, deep into everything. My parents was like, no, pick up a book and do this. And I got to college, and it was nothing what everyone told me it would be, you know. It wasn't an environment for learning and, you know, pushing towards, you know, better path and upgrading your, you know, your mindset and these things. It was just, you know, here's the work, you know, everybody's cheating on it, everybody's sharing answers, no one's really doing anything. It's just the bare bones stuff. And my main thing too was I was in business law, and, you know, the main thing I realized is that not really that I didn't want to do law, but I was mainly more focused in owning my own business and, you know, being a business of myself, and, you know, making myself a business and a personal brand and stuff like that I'm starting to notice. And none of the professors in college own their own business, have their own things going for them. They work for the school. So it's like, you know, you just start to realize a lot of things in life where it's like you'll get put on the wrong path, listening to the wrong people, listening to the wrong things. And I'm not saying your parents and people around you don't have your best interest at heart, but they're not you. They don't know the things you think. They don't know the ideas that you have for your life, the vision that you have for your life. Only you know that. And you got to take, the step and the leap of faith in yourself to go do that, bro. Because if you don't, you're gonna end up living a life that you don't want to live, slaving for somebody else that you don't want to do. And that's not the existence that I want to live, bro. We only have one life. We only have one chance to get it right. So if you only got one shot, you got to make the most of it. And so, another day, like I said, another thing that I said, even when I was starting my kick is every day is fourth quarter. And, I'm moving with that mentality because I really want this shit so bad. And that's another thing. Even though, time is not running out, I'm only 23. You feel me? I got a lot of growing to do, a lot of, things to experience, right? But I want the success so bad. And I know it's just around the corner that I'm going to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And, the picture always stands out to me. I don't know if you've ever seen, it's a miner and he stops mining right before the diamonds. And, that image always sticks in my head because I feel like that can never be me. There's days where I don't feel good. There's days where I feel like giving up. There's days where I feel like quitting entirely. But that image stays in my mind that, the moment you stop digging, you're not going to get it. So you got to stay locked in. You got to stay, pushing towards something great, bro. But, these are all the things that I learned this year, especially the one main thing. The main most important thing I feel like I learned this year is to get back to reading, bro. I grew up, as a kid that used to enjoy reading, and now that I'm reading, mental health books, self-help books, financial literacy books, things about consciousness, things about spirituality, uplifting your mindset, books like that has, expanded my perspective tenfold and, giving me new understanding and just, a new, kind of drive in my life and set things into perspective for me that, makes a lot of things clearer and easier to, just stick to what I'm doing because it's working. And once again, might not be the biggest thing now, might not be, on everybody's radar yet, but I know that day is coming if I keep putting in the work and the consistency. And, another thing too about this year, bro, is like once again, I said I haven't made anything off these videos or anything yet, right? But I see myself improving every time I'm consistently uploading in TikTok, every time I'm consistently uploading on YouTube, every time I'm consistently doing these things, I see myself getting better. I know the ideas that I have, and if I had the free time and the space and, the ability to do the things that I really genuinely want to do, I know I'd be out of here. You feel me? So that's another part of it too, where you just gotta have the confidence in yourself that you know where it's going, that you've already ended up there. And, just, set the GPS for the navigation and, set sail, bro. Because, that's another thing that stood out to me in one of the books I was reading is that you got to operate like things are already done. And within our bodies, we have a natural navigation system to get things done. You know exactly what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it. It's just, factors, whether it be fatigue, laziness, whatever. We got a lot going on in our lives, or whatever the case may be, fear, doubt, a lot of things that keep us from doing the things that we know that we're supposed to do. But if you put that to the side and just do it anyway, because you're supposed to do it, it's only going to benefit you. You might suffer through it in the beginning, but overall it's going to help you. Those are the things you need to do and focus on. And, once again, you're going to look at them and, not recognize, the person that you see in the mirror, but in a good way, you feel me? Because once again, 2020 was a real low point for me. I went to college, fall of 2019, we came back for COVID on my birthday. And I felt like that was another low point in my life because I was so ready to, leave my town and, go out and expand and do things in life. And, a semester later, I'm right back home in a place that I thought I was just, about to set myself free from and stuff like that. So that was another low point for me. And that was 5 years ago. So looking back at the past 5 years, you feel me, of what I've been through, a lot of low points, and I don't really want to get into specifics and stuff like that, but we all live lives, we all go through things, so I'm not going to sit here and be like my trauma is worse or better than anybody else's. But I went through so much these past 5 years, and I feel like that was a chapter in my life. And 2025, let me not disrespect 2025, but 2025 and going forward these next 5 years, in my head is about to be insane. You feel me? So I got big things planned, big things that I want to accomplish. And once again, I don't really like to speak too much on specifics of what that is, but just know that you're going to see more of me on YouTube. Definitely going to see me back on the kick streams. Definitely going to see me uploading on TikTok. Definitely going to see me dropping music. Definitely going to see me dropping clothes. That's what's going on here, bro. But I'm so happy and thrilled by the work that I put in and just satisfied with myself, bro. Because look around this room, you feel me? Like in the background, everything like this, bro. None of this existed January 1st, bro. I open up my phone and I see all the stuff that I do, even though I haven't been streaming, for like probably 2 weeks or something now, bro. Probably even longer than that, bro. And I hate taking these long streaming breaks, but now when streamers do it, I kind of understand it, bro. It'd be real life behind the scenes, you know, but after, all the work that I put in, even when I'm not doing it and I can go back and look at it, I can look at my, Instagram for the clothing site. I can look at all the songs I dropped. I can look at all the YouTube videos I dropped. I can look at all the TikToks that, people will still like and engage with. And I'm just satisfied, like, damn, I did all that. That's another thing, about me. I'm a very tunnel vision, like, goal-oriented person where if I don't have the thing that I want, I feel like I got nowhere. That's the type of person I am, which is not always the best thing. I'll be frustrated with myself for that. But, if I don't have the thing that I want, I feel like I'm doing nothing. So the fact that I haven't made $1 yet, it pisses me off. But I know that's not always going to be the case. And so, just appreciating the work. And, I know it all comes from me. It all comes from, inside. And that's another big lesson I learned, this year is that, your life is not happening to you. It's happening through you, right? And once you understand that the way you wake up and you go out and you carry yourself in the, things you participate in and the things that you make habits and, are disciplined in, that's what makes your reality. Like, I put it to you this way, is like, how's the best way to put this? Like, it's like going to the gym, right? When you first go to the gym, you might be weak, you know what I'm saying? You might, people might not look at you as, aesthetically pleasing or whatever the case may be. And once again, I'm not saying that this really matters. This is the first analogy that really comes to my head. But once you stay in the gym consistently, once you lock in, once you're in there every day, you get stronger. You start to feel better about yourself. You start to carry yourself better. You start to have more confidence. Then people, receive that, and then they treat you better. And then you start to experience things. So once again, it's like, you have all the control, bro. Everything starts with you and the decision in your head to create it and make it real. And whatever that may be, whether it doesn't have to be the gym, it could be anything in your career, any goals that you have set. Once you set your eyes on something, and go for it wholeheartedly and do the things you're supposed to do, you're going to improve. That's the thing, I guess, is the best way to put it. Self-improvement, man. Every day, just get better, because every day we're getting closer, to the day where we might not be here. So if you get better every day, that's, you maximizing your life, you feel me? And so, I feel like that's very key and very important, because I've, been out the way. I've, sacrificed a lot of times hanging out, doing things with friends, family, whatever the case may be. And I've just been so locked in, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I haven't been out. Like, now that it's the holidays and Christmas and December, I'm not gonna lie, I've been outside a little bit, you feel me? But this whole, year has just been work, me coming home, me working on something, doing this, and, sacrifice the time, bro. And, especially now when I go out, I just, think about, like, damn, like, in college, I used to do this every weekend and not have shit to show for it. And now when I go out, not that I'm saying, it's good to always be out and lose focus, but I feel like it's a balance. Feel me? But even when I'm out, sometimes I can just open up my phone and, know what I've done and, know the work that I put in. I feel better about myself versus back then when I had nothing going for myself and I was just doing it just to escape and, just try and numb a lot of things. But, I'm sitting here looking forward towards 2026. Once again, I feel like I'm already in 2026 because I'm about to go to the gym after this. About to make sure I'm consistent with my, diet, whatever the case may be. We're going to eat some good food after that. I'm sitting here recording my YouTube video, getting the upload ready for the Sunday. We're not missing the Sunday, you feel me? And, I don't know when the next stream is going to be on, but the streams are going to be back, you feel me? Sam the Man 11 on Kick, you feel me? Once again, too, with the streams, it's like every time I take a break and I come back, I feel better. I feel more, settled in what I'm doing. And, once again, I want to shout out to my boy Dustin, too, because, he's a big behind one of the first people that hopped into my chat and really, spoke with me for real. He always asked for me and stuff like that. And, when I'm streaming. And, it's like people like that. That's another thing, too, I'll say is like, pursuing this and doing all this stuff this whole year, it just shows you a lot about the people around you, you feel me? And I'm not going to say anything good or bad or anything specific, but, when people who used to know you, right, this is the contrast I could say. When people who used to know you start to see you do new things in your life and start to better yourself and do things they never thought or anticipated, then you start to see how people, really move and, who reaches out, who doesn't, who shows love and who doesn't. and you start to notice certain things. And a lot of the love I've been getting, the support I've been getting, has been people I met online through doing this stuff. That's another thing too. Like, whether it be, people I'm working with the brand, or, my boy Dustin in the Kick Chat, or, people commenting on TikToks and Instagram and on YouTube videos showing support and showing love. Like, I've received more love this year from people I've never met or never seen their face, or new people that I met since moving here versus people that I used to know before I moved. And, I felt like I was the realest person too, and they knew me in the flesh, versus me coming here and not really going out and not really knowing that many people. But the respect and, the love is, more so, seen. So that's the one thing that I'll say too, why I double down on the fact that it is the most important thing to just focus on yourself, bro. Because I'm sitting here as the person that I'm a very genuine person. I always give people 100% of myself, whether they deserve it or not. You feel me? I grew up in a Christian household. The goal is to always be Christ-like, and I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything like that, but I always treat people fairly, with respect, with the integrity. Treat others how you want to be treated, right? As I always used to operate. But at the same time, people will take your energy and they will misuse it, and they will continue to siphon off until you have nothing left. And yeah, I was going through a lot of, depressing situations and real life situations, before I moved and stuff like that. But on top of that, it was the people that was around me that seemed like they was friends, seemed like they was genuine, but just was siphoning off energy. And, once I remove myself from that environment, it's crazy how all this stuff just randomly appears and starts to happen, bro. So I take notice of these things, and I know more than ever, I just have a different type of confidence in myself, different, type of, I guess courage, I would say, in pursuing this stuff, because I already know that it works. And, regardless of what anybody really says or thinks about it right now, I know this was made for me. Nothing can stop what God has set aside for somebody. I feel like, God has set this aside for me, because I tried the route my parents wanted me to do. I tried listening to everybody. I tried being nice to everybody. I tried all these things. It didn't get me nowhere. It didn't get me any of the shit that I ever really wanted. And so when I sit here and I made a decision for myself to take my own advice and do things that I wanted to do when I wanted to do them, and not give a fuck what anybody got to say, that's when all this shit happened. So, I guess that's another main takeaway I learned from this year, is it all just starts with you, man. It all just starts with you. And, once again, it's not easy. It's not always fun. It's not always pretty behind the scenes. You feel me? But that's just what it takes to get done, bro. You got to sacrifice, to be great. You see the people I got on my walls. I got Kobe on my wall. I got Messi on my wall. I feel like two of the greatest of all time. You feel me? I want to be that, and whatever I do, I, want to put in the work for it. The work has never been an issue for me. I just want what I work for. That's the type of person I am. And so, once again, 2025, I've already proved it to myself. In 2026, we're going to get exactly that. Everything we work for. And it's already a year of foundation already laid down. So that just means I'm a year closer to getting to, exactly everything I think in my head is coming. So, ayo, low-key, what I'm saying, y'all. But, going into 2026, man, it's like I'm moving with the same mentality, but everything is just going up. And that's how I know 2026 is about to be crazy, because 2025 was insane to me. Like I said, the best year of my life. And so I feel like this was just like the teaser for the movie of next year. And, I'm thinking about traveling outside the country. Obviously, that's going to be vlogged. Streams going to be jumping. Music is going to be dropping. Hopefully, music videos and stuff like that. You feel me? Clothing drops, all types of stuff. All the things that I worked on this year, just, refined and better, bro. Because that's another thing, too. Like I said, the progress I see, bro, that's another thing. And like I said, to people on the outside, 100 subscribers is not a lot. To me, I know the work, the creativity, all the stuff that happened behind the scenes to get to this point. And I know 100 can easily be 100K, and I'm just grind to that point, and then grind to a million, and grind, to the moon and beyond. You feel me? But that's just, a lot of the stuff that stuck out to me, throughout this year. From January 1st to next January 1st. I remember in the Jump Ball song, the first song I uploaded, I said I'm a ball to the next one, stepping on next to the next one. You feel me? And so we went from January 1st till January 1st. Pumping this content, pumping everything like that. And, live true, you feel me? A lot of the stuff, that I said I was going to change my life in a year, this, then, and the third. All the stuff that was on my mind that I rapped about at the beginning of the year. Now I look around, I'm like, damn, I really did that shit. You feel me? And that's the thing, bro. I guess that's the main thing. Is like right now, when, you're taking a path that, not a lot of people take, you want to do your own thing, you want to be yourself. it's not gonna be no support here, bro. It's not. It's not. You gotta be the biggest cheerleader. You gotta be your biggest fan. You gotta be your biggest supporter, bro. Because when no one else sees the vision, you gotta see it and you gotta push toward it to make it real. And then other people will realize, whether it be friends, family, anybody in between, you gotta be your biggest supporter, bro. It's gonna be a silence around what you going around. And it's funny, my brand Silent Name, I didn't really mean to do that, but when you're really getting to it, really doing what you're gonna do, it's mad silent. It's mad quiet. You know, it's almost peaceful and serene. I'm gonna be honest with you, because for me, I feel like a lot of stuff that kept me from doing this was what people said and people's ideas and people's, you know, opinions and stuff like that kept me from doing these things. But once you start doing these things and only focus on yourself, only focus on getting better, only focus on your craft, only focus on, you know, goals and growing and getting better, right? Everything becomes real silent. And the only voice you really hear is your own, bro. And that's the voice that's gonna pull you from January 1st to December and going into 2026, knowing that, you know, you about to get everything you work for, bro. And, you know, that's me, bro. So that's really, you know, the rant that I had last video of the year. I'm so excited. It's crazy. We over 100 subscribers, so I appreciate everybody that ever, you know, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully y'all hit that again, you feel me, a lot more times. Feel me, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, you know. And, you know, just stay tuned for the journey, man. You feel me? Like, you know, I'm just very blessed. And that's another thing too. Have faith, you know, put God first, communicate with God, pray on things, you know, because once again, I feel like that's the only thing that really pulled me through, is that connection, that personal relationship with God. And, you know, whatever that may be for you, please do that, bro. Because, you know, once again, like I said, it's real silent. You're the only supporter in this, and, you know, you gotta rely on God, because if you don't, shit is bad, bro. Shit get bad, you feel me? So I guess, you know, that's another main takeaway from this year. But, you know, that's just, you know, all the things I had on my mind that I wanted to say. And once again, I'm just sitting here like, damn, I'm really recording the last video of 2025. It's been a movie, bro. It's been a movie, man. It's so crazy. I'm just sitting here and I think about all the new things, bro. You know, the business, this, that, and the third. Like, bro, there's so many things, bro. Like, I sound like I'm ranting and not really saying much right now, but where it's about to be next year, oh my God, bro, it's about to be insane, man. I'm just excited to get there, bro, and hopefully I'll see y'all there as well in 2026 on this channel, you feel me? But I feel like that's gonna be it for this video, you feel me? I appreciate anybody that's ever clicked on the video, ever liked the video, ever subscribed, all that good stuff, you know, whether it be on the TikToks or my TikTok, my Instagram, feel me? You know, anybody that's on the, you know, the clothing brand page, stay tuned for that. Anybody that's ever took a chance to listen to any of my music and stuff like that, cool, I appreciate it, bro. But, you know, it's just gonna be more of the, you know, the same next year, and just a level up, you feel me, consistently, bro, because, you know, that's all we do it for. But once again, I appreciate y'all rocking, watching, bro. Like, nigga, like, figure out what you want to say. I appreciate y'all watching, and, you know, till the next time, I'll see y'all in 2026, bro. I'll see y'all next year, man. Deuces.